ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Hi, I'm Fran.
And I'm PK, and the Party Room is back for 2025.
Bigger and better than ever, PK.
It's going to be a huge year in politics, but Fran and I are here to tell you what you need to know.
And every week we'll be joined by a guest to analyse all of the big political news from inside and outside the Canberra bubble.
It's called The Party Room. You can find it on the ABC Listen app.
See you, PK.
See you, Fran.
Working from home was an experiment during the pandemic, which, well, worked so well, many employers and employees continue to enjoy it. But what if that was all to end in an instant? Well, big companies like Amazon have had enough of it and have ordered their workers back to the office full-time. Today, economist Leonora Risse on the return to office trend. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily. Leonora, in September last year, Amazon told its corporate employees that work from home was over, and as of this month, that became a reality, and safe to say, not everyone at Amazon was very happy about that.
Yes, so what we're seeing is there is this push amongst some organisations to require their workers to return to the office full time. And it is a really interesting swing of the pendulum, given that we did experience what it was like to work in many cases for many jobs at home during the pandemic. And it was a bit of an experiment. And I think some of the cost and the benefits, the advantages and the disadvantages are still being played out. And what we're seeing is that for some companies, they are making that executive decision that on balance, they do believe that the benefits of being on site outweigh the gains of working from home, and they're making that call. We have to remember that for various other organisations, the decision is different, that they're still supporting hybrid work.
Well, Amazon, of course, is a huge company, so this is getting quite a bit of attention. So they've gone from WFH to RTO, which is return to office. That's I presume, a new term.
We love our acronyms.
We do.
RTO is shorthand for return to the office, so returning on site. And you're right, it is presented not as an option, but as a mandate, as a requirement. Look, some of the commentary and analysis that we hear about is if the labour market is weakening, it's not as competitive for workers, then I don't know if this is the case for Amazon, but for some companies, what they might be doing is requiring returning to the office as a way of flushing out overemployment, if you like. If they realise they need to downsize in terms of their staff numbers, this is a way to differentiate between who are the workers who they're going to keep and who are the ones who they might have reason to let go.
Well, CEO of Amazon, Andy Jassy, says that, well, the decision he made, it's because he thinks it's better for teamwork. He says it's better for learning. It's better for collaborating, better for brainstorming. So in the end, he just said they need to be in the office 5 days a week. That's not a bad argument, right? It is better for chatting, talking, brainstorming when you're all in the same office.
There is certainly that case to be made that when people are together in person and meeting regularly, it can improve that sense of team bonding and trust and collaboration. And why it matters from a manager's perspective is that it can be an ingredient for productivity because there's a link there between building that team connection and the generation of innovation and new ideas. I think for managers too, you have to remember for organisations, a big strategic element here is how to retain your staff. So if they're coming together in person and they're got that team bonding, it also is likely to enhance their sense of connection to the organisation, to their colleagues, and therefore stay in that job potentially longer than they would otherwise. For managers, from a productivity point of view, some might feel that they can do a better job as a manager when they can see their employees and interact with them and communicate with them more readily. The flip side is that productivity is multifaceted, it's multi-pronged, and there are many aspects of working from home that can enhance productivity.
Well, let's unpack that a bit more in a moment. Of course, the Amazon staff, I mean, no one can get away with actually not going into the office because you have to swipe in and swipe out, of course. And I did note that Jassy, he sort of suggested in a rather subtle way that if they didn't like it, well, find another job, really. So there was no negotiations to be done at Amazon. I suppose that's a point too, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. I mean, when we think about working arrangements, working conditions, it's very much a product of negotiations and discussions and bargaining between two parties, the employer and the employee. Often that's done in Australia, obviously at an enterprise level as well. So what we're likely to see is a bit of a sorting in the economy and the labour market, where some organisations that might lose some of their current staff and they might be able to find jobs elsewhere, but it will require some movement, some fluidity within the workforce for workers to match themselves to jobs that best suit their needs.
Leonora, before we move on, just tell me about the situation here in Australia. Do we know how many people are actually working from home? Because, of course, the pandemic did end a fair while ago now.
And it certainly has gone up since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, it was around about a quarter, and now it's over a third. So the latest numbers from the ABS for last year suggest that in Australia, around 36% of all employees are working at least part of the time from home. So that's equivalent to around over 5 million Australians or people in the Australian workforce.
It's a lot.
And it's actually now slightly higher amongst women than it is for men. So that also speaks to some of the interesting gender-related factors that people are working from home.
I guess the question is it actually more productive? Is there any actual studies that have been done to prove that this is actually a good way to work?
Yes, so there is research being carried out to try to, arrive at this answer. First thing to say is that we can't necessarily generalise across every type of occupation or workplace. So there's certainly going to be some workplaces where, yes, it is overall more productive and others where it's not. But in terms of what does the research say, so there's been some international research that pulls together what is the overall picture here. And it does suggest that if you look at hybrid, so working, say, around about 2 to 3 days per week on average working from home, the suggestion is that there's actually no overall difference in productivity compared to being on site. But where the research is pointing is that for the long term, there could actually be a productivity gain because you are supporting the retention of workers, sustaining job matches, and it's also diversifying your labour pool. So if you think about the essence of working from home means that employees can match themselves to job opportunities across a broader geographical distance. And that is a mechanism for organisations to spread out and widen their potential pool of workers. And by doing that, they're tapping into a broader array of different skills and are more likely to find workers and sustain those job matches in more productive ways.
And you've found that that's particularly important for women. In fact, working from home has really changed the lives of many Australian women substantially.
Exactly. I mean, that's what the numbers do tell us, that it is a matter of working from home rates now increasing for women, actually overtaking the working from home rates for men. But what's also potentially happening is because we're also seeing that more men are working from home, and more men with children are actually working from home as well. So by doing that, they're actually still also enabling their female partner to stay attached to the workforce. So they might be doing 1 day a week from home that also enables the female partner in their life, if that's the household composition, to also keep working.
Well, Leonora, let's consider then what would happen if more workplaces took a leaf out of Amazon's book and forced everyone back to the office 5 days a week. And there are some companies in Australia that are doing this already. The Commonwealth Bank's gone part way. Tabcorp, which is a betting agency, it's done it. And there's lots of other companies around the world that are following suit. So what would that mean if more and more companies did this and forced these workers back in the office? What would the landscape look like then?
Well, Sam, we'll see what happens when the economy will reveal the answer. Yes. Once those decisions are made. But I think what will potentially happen over time is that we will see that sorting. So workers who really do need and really do value working from home, probably they're going to be even more appreciative to have that opportunity. And ideally what will happen is that they'll be able to sort themselves and align to new employers or new job opportunities which do offer them that flexibility and do offer them working from home and are supportive of it. And the workers who otherwise are quite happy to go back to the office, they will sort themselves towards those organisations where that is the culture. Now, that's not necessarily going to be very easy, but there is the potential for that sorting to happen. And there's this really interesting concept in labour economics that if your employer is offering you benefits and entitlements that go sort of above and beyond expectations, that you will actually exert more effort and you'll be more loyal, more motivated, actually more productive and more efficient because you really appreciate what your employer is offering to you.
Yeah, it sounds like companies should give it a good think, though, before changing the rules too quickly.
Yes, I mean, there are some organisations where they're going to learn through experience. So if they put those changes into practice now and they realise it doesn't work and they're going to lose some of perhaps their highest quality workers who have other options, or they're going to lose workers from more remote or regional areas, there will be a loss and there will be turnover and churn, and it's always expensive for organisations when there's staff turnover. I guess they'll find out if the benefits outweigh the cost.
And I did forget to ask you if you are working from home, which I should have done.
Well, it's a really good question. I actually am today. I have spent quite a bit of time working from home in the last couple of months for family caregiving reasons. So I do identify with this issue, both as a researcher, as an economist, as a professional, but also the personal side of things. So I'll openly declare that. But I think it also means that we can relate to the fact that there are certain points of your career, certain points of your life where that flexibility is valued. And there are other times in your career, like I imagine if I was just starting out, I'd probably want to be really immersed in the work culture and learn from people around me. So I completely appreciate that people in different circumstances have different needs, different preferences as well.
Leonora Risse is an associate professor in economics at the University of Canberra. This episode was produced by Sydney Peed, Cara Jensen-McKinnon and Sam Dunn. Audio production by Anna John. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. ABC News Daily will be back again tomorrow. Thanks for listening.